All right, welcome everyone. Good morning and welcome, Saba. Let's take 3 minutes more, then we start the section because we don't want to. But so let's read maybe just 1 to 2 minutes, then we can start the section. So um, that is that. So thank you and welcome. Okay, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, everywhere. Good evening, everywhere. Thank you for joining today's section, and we appreciate your time in terms of 36 people, at least first minute, meaning that we are committed to today's lesson. Thank you very much, and let's do this more exercise. We appreciate your efforts in joining today's section too, as fellows, and we are still learning and discussing so many issues. But let's see, in the chats, there was a conversation yesterday. Let's see in the chats, mention one international organization that you know in the multi-stakeholder model. So any international organization that you believe that whether it's in the regional or sub-regional or global, just put it in the chats there, which other international organization that you know. Then after that, we'll move quickly to today's section because we want to manage our time very well. And 2 hours is not easy, but we want to just manage our time. So I acknowledge Saba will be taking us to today's sessions, but let us put in the chat which international organization that we think that we know. Yeah, so, okay, ISOC is an international organization, that's fine. And ISOC can also be a civil society organization, so it is fine. So sometimes you see that an organization can be in both the civil society or technical community too. You can find ISOC members there. But organization, okay, so UN, you see ICANN, I see ISOC. Can we get a full meaning? Maybe I don't know the full meaning, so maybe just put in the full meaning there. What is UN? What is it like undercover news or what? So like just put it in the full meaning. Okay, so United Nations, International Telecommunication Union, ITU or UIT. Okay, so that's fine. Then we have ICANN. What is ICANN? What is ISOC? Smart Africa. Okay. What is ISOC? So like let me get your comments. Let me keep getting your comment. Let me keep getting your World Health Organization. Okay, that's an international organization. Okay, I think they also join basically in the multi-stakeholder approach because health people join Internet Society. Okay, ISOC. Okay. W3C, World Wide Web Consortium. That is fine. Yeah. They are also a global organization, international organization. Internet Corporation for Assignments and Numbers. That's ICANN. Okay, that's fine. So thank you very much for engaging today. Today, you're going to learn some interesting aspect of the internet governance. As we're saying that it contains some technical aspect of it. And we have our session tutor facilitator today to be Saba, who is going to take us through the infrastructure aspect of internet governance. When we talk about internet governance, there's an infrastructure aspect, and we're going to have this kind of learning, which is going to give us that what are the infrastructure within internet governance, how the infrastructure like, how we connect to the domain name www. What is behind that. So we're going to have a more experience on that. We are going to have more learning. So without wasting much time, I will just invite Saba, and then we can move. Then Saba will complete it very quickly. Then we go to the breakout room to discuss today's topic. And I hope that today's topic will be very interesting because today's topic will make sure that if you are going to present, you have your video on. So we're going to have some slides different in the discussion as I'll be moderating, asking questions. So your group should be very prepared on your stakeholder group. Today, maybe you may be assigned to choose your specific breakout rooms, and I'll be ready to facilitate that. So Saba, good morning and welcome. Like I wish I can speak Ethiopian language, but my network is not good today. So I will speak after the section when my network comes on. Thank you, Saba. You have it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fifi. Hello, everyone. Salam and Nachu. Yeah, welcome to day 3 of this Payaig session. Fifi, I would like you to ask if you can please share your screen for me, especially the slide. I seem to have a connection problem. I'm not sure. Fifi, can you share the slide for me?
All right, Saba, let me share the slide for you, just a minute. But before that, let us know which city you are learning from. So just put the city.
The virtual classes da nake yi. Yau kin ga tun safen.
If you're not speaking, please mute your. Let me know in the chat which city you are connecting from. I don't need the country, but today, like, I want to learn about the cities that we are connecting from. So
Yeah, we
let's
have
say,
Daniel from Lusaka.
okay, okay. So like, I'm
And
going to
we
learn.
check Chipata, Lagos, Accra, Mombasa,
Mombasa.
Nigeria.
Okay, Mombasa is in
Wow.
Kenya. No.
Bilingue, Addis Ababa. Yeah, welcome. Accra again. This is very diverse.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy to have you all
So
here.
yeah, so we have we have people from different aspects of various cities, and I know for sure I have friends in Mombasa. So when they say Mombasa, the first thing that comes to my mind is how the beaches in Mombasa are. It's an African problem. And the story is that I have a friend who thinks that when you go to Mombasa beach and you are swimming, you have to hide your clothes and other stuff in the beach. And whilst you are swimming, you just come up to check whether someone has getting closer to your clothes and your phones to steal it. So the same way that we do it in Mombasa, that's the same way we do it in Ghana, and it's everywhere in African context. So thank you, and I hope you can see my how do you call it, my
Screen.
screen.
You can
Yeah.
see Fifi. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So Saba, you have it.
Thank you so much, Fifi. So today we're going to discuss about the infrastructure aspect of the internet, governance, as Fifi said earlier. So this session will highlight some of the key infrastructure aspects of the internet. And so the main goal of this session is to expose and to show you all who are the various players in the internet space and whose focus is also more linked to the infrastructure part of the internet. So yes, so after the end of this session, you will be able to explain how the internet works and how it operates. You'll also be familiar with the different building blocks or components of the infrastructure. And finally, understand the key takeaways on making the internet accessible and affordable. Yeah. So yeah, next slide. So first we have the DNS, which is the domain name system. A little bit of introduction about the DNS is actually it's like a phone book of the internet. So it translates a user-friendly domain names. Let's say www.google.com. It translates this domain name into an IP address, which is 192 point something, 168 or 0.1 and 0.1, like these 4 digits, and then that computer is able to understand this.
Saba,
Yes.
I think Gosway has a hand. Gosway,
Yes, Gosway,
is,
please go ahead.
is there anything?
I think the slide is not visible to the audience, I think, because we can only see Saba at the moment.
Oh, really?
It's visible.
Like
For
if
me,
I
it's visible.
I can see from my
It's visible, clearly visible.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It's visible because like I can see from the back end here, it's working. So, all right. So thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is all about what DNS is. As I said, it's a language that the computer uses to communicate with each other. So, first, how DNS works, as you can see from the computer. First, you type the domain name into your browser, and then your device sends a request to the DNS server. And then the DNS service, it looks up the domain name and finds the IP address, the specific IP address, and then your browser then looks into this IP address to access that specific website, which is www.google.com. So it gives you that result. Next slide, Fifi. Yes. So the physical interconnections that make the internet work. The TCP IP, specifically this connection, it's the transmission control protocol, TCP, and then the IP is called the Internet Protocol. It's like a foundational technology that allows different kinds of computers to communicate to the internet. And there are also important layers of this suite, which is first the it consists of multiple layers, first of all. But I would like you all to ask, I would like to ask you all to tell me what are the multiple layers. Sorry, what are the multiple layers of the TCP IP model? Can you tell me in the chat? What are those layers of the TCP IP model?
So Saba want to try to have the fair idea of the layers within the internet structure. So which layers do you know? Okay, so we have the network layer. Let's go. Apart from network layer, what do we have again? We have the application layer. Okay. Then the section layer. Okay. We have the transport layer. Okay. Then we have the physical layer. Okay. Then we have the data link layer. Okay. Okay. So the internet structure is fine, but there are various layers within that internet structure. So there is no wrong answer here. So like we have the data link, that is fine. So yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Each of these layers, they operate independently, meaning any changes in one layer that it doesn't affect the other layer. So this kind of approach in these different kinds of layers allows flexibility as well as adaptation, so that it enables different devices and applications to work together no matter what. So yeah, when we come to the submarine cables are one of the backbone of the internet, and those are specifically fiber optic cables, which are laid on the seabed, connecting continents, regions, as well as islands. So they are very important in they play a very important role in global internet connectivity, and also they carry about 95% of all international data traffic. So yeah, as you can see, the first submarine cables were used for telegraphy in the mid 80s, and over time, these advancements in technologies it transformed these cables into high capacity fiber optic systems. And for example, you can take the To Africa submarine cable, which is launched by Facebook in May 2020. And this cable project is kind of a project, the To Africa submarine cable project, and it's one of the largest subsea cable systems ever deployed, which is its goal is expanding internet connectivity across Africa, and also connecting it to Europe, connecting it to Asia, and as you can see from the image, it goes to the Europe, and then it goes to the Asia as well. So, I mean, this particular project is very important because it connects a million of people. It enhances economic opportunities as well as social connections across the region and across the continent. Next slide, Fifi. Yes. So the optical fiber cables, now we have seen the submarine cables. And when we come to the optical fiber cables, they are high-speed transmission mediums made of a very thin standard of glasses and plastics. So they carry data as light pulse, allowing, to have a faster and to have a reliable communication, which is compared to the traditional copper cables that's used. So its connection to the submarine cables is that when the submarine cables land on the shore, they are connected to these optical fiber cables. So this transition, it allows the data to continue traveling, to continue to flow efficiently across the network on the land. And the Tier 1 network, as you can see, is like a large backbone of internet that provide internet connectivity globally. So they interconnect with every other network on the internet without paying for data exchange, meaning that they do have like a direct access to all internet traffic. And when regarding the peerings as well, so these networks, they do exchange in a peering agreement. I know like these words are a bit more technical. If you are a technical, I know you can understand more about this, but this kind of peer by itself is allowing a free exchange of traffic. And this is very important to maintain a robust and an efficient internet as it reduces, latency, and also enhances connectivity as well. So type of wireless technologies, there are many types of wireless technology and connections as well. First, we have the satellite connection, satellite communication, satellite-based links, and also short-range wireless. So this satellite communication, they do use the satellite to provide the internet access, particularly for any remote or underserved areas. But then the satellite-based links are, very important for areas where, as I said earlier, where there is no connection in remote in underserved areas. So these are very important. And the short-range wirelesses, they are like the Wi-Fi, which connects the devices to the internet. Yes. So next slide, Fifi. Yes. So when we come to the content providers in general, they are organizations or they are individuals that create and distribute various types of content on the internet, which is, it can be web pages, or it can be videos, or it can be a podcast, images. So they play a very important role in shaping our online experience by delivering informations, delivering entertainment, and also different kinds of services to the users. So in terms of the co-location and the data centers, the cost efficiency, first of all, to reduce these operational costs, many content providers, they choose to collocate their servers within the large data centers. And this collocation, it involves multiple organizations sharing physical spaces as well as resources, such as power, which really lowers, expenses and improves efficiency. And these specific data centers, they facilitate and equip advanced infrastructure to ensure that there is a high availability, to ensure that there is a security and there is a reliability of the hosted content. So these data centers, they are designed to, handle large volumes of data, as well as to also provide fast access for individuals or for the users. Actually, some of the barriers is kind of, there is a limited resource. So not all individuals or not all organizations have those resources or expertise, infrastructures to host their content independently. For example, when we say that there is a hardware, there is a maintenance, and there is a technical support. So when we come to the cloud computing. So this cloud computing really offers solutions by providing the on-demand access to computing resources and storage over the internet. So this really allows the users to host their content without the need of physical service. So this is one of the main importance of this, having a cloud computing service. What are the benefits of these content providers in cloud services? There are many kind of benefits. You can look up to the link provided here in the slide, which is of course will be available to you all. So it can be giving innovative services, or it can be accessibility in terms of scalability as well, and so on. So they do have this kind of uses, most importantly. Next slide, Fifi. Yes. So when we come to the importance of peering, IXPs and CDNs, first we have to understand what peering means. And the peering is, as I tried to mention it earlier, it's a practice where two or more internet networks, they connect and they exchange traffic directly without, charging each other. Charging means like in terms of cost. So this kind of arrangement, it helps us to manage the data flow efficiently, as well as to reduce the cost. So if the network have to pay for all kind of traffic they send and they receive, the costs can really escalate quickly. So peering allows the networks to share bandwidths, as well as minimize the expenses, benefiting the both parties. And some of the challenges in Africa includes, first, historically, many African networks were poorly interconnected, and this leading to a reliance on overseas networks for accessing the internet content. And for example, accessing platforms like YouTube is often required the data to travel outside of the continent to service in the USA or Europe and back. So this setup really resulted in higher latency, as well as in lower speed, and it also increased the costs for users to access that specific content from YouTube that could have been, served locally. So what are the role of IXP when it comes to this? First of all, we should have to know what IXP means, right? IXP is an internet exchange point, which are physical locations where multiple internet service providers, or the ISPs, and networks interconnect in order to exchange traffic. So these IXPs, or the internet exchange points, are very important for enhancing internet connectivity within regions. They do allow local networks to exchange traffic directly. They do improve reducing reliance on international bandwidth. Sorry. So what are the benefits of, IXPs? They, as I've said, that they do improve the connectivity, so that, African countries can improve their network connections, which this then leads to a faster and also a more reliable access to the local as well as to the regional content. And also, it also provides economic growth to the continent as well. Next slide, Fifi. Yeah, and then when you come to the CDNS, which is the content delivery networks. So what are the CDNS? But okay. Okay, so CDNS are actually systems that distribute service that that deliver web content to users, which is based on their geographical locations. So we use CDNS, right? They are like the content providers can ensure that the users access data from the nearest server, which is then this results to a faster loading times for websites, for videos, and also any other media that you are going to browse. So these three, which is peering, IXP, as well as CDNS, they play a very important role in improving the internet connectivity, the user experience, especially in regions like Africa, and because they help to reduce the cost. They also help to enhance the speed and also to foster the local content availability as well. Yes, so one thing perhaps I would like to ask you all is, can you name one IXP in your country? Or do you know any internet exchange point in your country? If there is, you can put it in the chat.
So like want to get interactive in the chat. So the you can even name even outside your maybe your sub-region. So if West Africa, what's IXP, do you know? What's let's say okay. Okay. So like in Accra, in Nigeria, in Lagos, in Mombasa, in Addis Ababa, in anywhere, Johannesburg, and like in those. So can we also have like some of the ISPs that we have?
Yeah,
Okay,
I have
okay.
I have put some information in the chat you can refer. So this shows us the list of IXPs in Africa. In total, there are about 56 active IXPs located in 48 cities in 36 African countries in general. For example, Ethiopia, in my case, Ethiopia uses the IXP from Djibouti. So about 95% of this data traffic it comes from this specific IXP. And I think it's kind of built right now. It's not yet completed. It's the new IXP in Ethiopia. It's called the Wingu project, but it's on the way, not completed yet. So for all of the countries, as you can see in the screen, there is an internet exchange point which is located in each of the countries. Some of the countries, they do have more than 1, 2, or 3 IXPs, which is very, very good. And some of them, they don't have, or they do have only one.
So
Yes.
like a country like Egypt, we can see that Egypt has about 2 here. Then we have about 3 for Kenya. Kenya
Yes.
has about 3, yeah. So we have Malawi to be having a 2. Then Nigeria has 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, on that. So you can see that South Africa has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 ISP. So country Tanzania has more. Zambia has 2. So these are what Saba is talking about. Let's go back to the slide.
Yes, please. Thank you, Fifi. So yeah, these are a little bit of details about IXPs. Also, do you know any internet service provider in your country? If so, can you list them in the chat? Any internet service providers in your country?
Okay. So Haba, so from here, like we're going to the breakout room. So like I wanna have, let's say, 5 people in different countries who can raise up their hand. They can share
Yeah.
about the internet service providers in their country, how much is their data costing and that. So like we're gonna have that 10 minutes discussion rundown. And thank you for highlighting it. It is a very technical stuff, but Sarah has explained it like we are reading the graphic. Everything is clear now. So like you can open your camera too, because I'm going to spotlight you onto the disc so that you can come in the videos discussion that Payaig will have. So I have Abia. Then you mentioned the country that you are coming to you are coming from. So let me add you on spots. Then who again? So I have Mark. Like Mark, which country are you coming from? Let me know. Okay, so then I
Hello,
have,
guys.
yeah. Hello, who is speaking? So I have
Hello, Mark.
Alas. Okay, so please mute come so that I can spot. You can show, if you can possibly show your camera so that we want to see you. So then I have built-in mirror. So like I'm going to moderate the section and go back. So Abia, thank you for joining. And I want to find out that which country are you coming from? Which internet service provider that you have? How is the data service like in terms of speed, in terms of affordability? We all want to learn. Then whatever discussion that we want to bring it on board to have such kind of conversation, we can understand. Many people are also learning so that we can also see if we are making policies, how can we do that? So just let me know, Abia.
Okay.
You mention your name and where you are coming from. Then
Okay.
we can take it from there.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Abia Tishiwether from Namibia, and I'm currently in Windhoek. That's our capital city. So our network provider, we have the main provider, which is Namibian Telecommunication, which we call, so the Namibian Telecommunication provides now to MTC. We also have, so MTC is one of the fastest, but in terms of affordability, it's not that affordable. TN is from the branch of the main one, but it's affordable, but the problem is it's very slow. But now with MTC, they also brought up what we call Spectra. Now Spectra is it's a fast internet using fiber. And we also have other network providers, but they are not that big. So in terms of, I'm just going to give the two main ones. So TN, in terms of buying, you can buy, they give you a lot of data, but in terms of you relying on them, sometimes it's not advisable because it takes, it's very slow. Like today, yes, I'm using theirs, but I also have my MTC on. So whenever it switches off, I use the MTC data. When it comes to MTC, so MTC is the one, like it's the network provider that we also use as our mobile. We also use our cards. That's what we use for our mobile phones. But when it comes to MTC, it's everywhere. The coverage is all over. You can go any parts of Namibia and you will not have an issue with the network. So MTC buys from the telecommunication. Yes. So basically, they are more advanced. And in terms of cost,
all right. Thank you very much. Yeah. In terms of cost, let me know. Abia,
all right. So in terms of cost, so here we have like we have packages. So you can get a package for 175 Namibian dollars. So 175 Namibian dollars, I think it's not 10 US. If I have to convert between 10 US to 5 US there. So you can get what we call OYE data from MTC, where you get 25 gigabyte and you get 300 gigabyte. That's after 12 a.m. That's for streaming. And then you have the Ultra, where they have more voice than the data. And then when you come to TN, you actually get to have now where you pay 230, where you get 50 gigabyte, and also you get also streaming, free streaming. So our cost ranges mostly from 3 USD going to almost 20 USD, depending on the package that you want.
All right, thank you very much, Abia, for sharing that from Namibia, and I hope to visit Namibia one day and explore it myself. Thank you very much. So I'm moving to Belton. I was asking him so Belton is on now. Belton, thank you and welcome, and let me know the country that you are connecting from. From the perspective, let us be brief because we have so many people who want to share. From the perspective that you are coming from, how much is the data there? Which ISPs that are there? What is the composition rate? Which one is dominating in terms of access and that? Then after that, we'll just move forward too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bilton, we're from Uganda, Kampala. And in Uganda, we actually have about 20 competitive ISPs, of which having Airtel Uganda being the leading with much better bandwidth and stability. That's Airtel Uganda. So for data packages, it's a little affordable for an average Ugandan. In terms of dollars, I would say it ranges between I think $0.5 to $100, basing on what you actually paying for. So if you're on the shared or dedicated lines, so it basically it differs from what package you're actually having. That so in most parts of Uganda, it's the most used network. And then we have RENU, that's Research for Education Network, Uganda. It's more like an ISP which only provides internet to only academic institutions, and they so far have the best connectivity for education purposes. That's in Uganda for universities and then secondary schools. Then MTN Uganda falls third. Yeah, so basically, and of course we have one called Leica Mobile, which is originated from the UK. So most Ugandans actually love it because it only works within Kampala, within the capital. Out of Kampala, you won't have a stable network. And it so far provides the cheapest, but the speed is a little low. But it's more like if you have 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you could have about 30 GBs for about for a month. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's the other one.
All
The
right.
rest,
All right.
the usual.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Belton. And let me move to Abdul Rafu Fuseni. Please, your name, where you are connecting from. Then after that, I'll come back to Alasana. Then I'll move to Nels Wizard. Then those people who want to come on to, I'll add them. So, Abdul, yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right. I'm Rafi Husseini from Ghana. Our telecom or internet service providers are MTN Ghana. They offer what is it? A fiber broadband with a speed of 2 Mbps, and then the data package ranges from 25 Ghana cedis for 6.22 gig. We have Vodafone Ghana, which also provide a broadband internet with a speed of 100 Mbps, and data package also starting from 120 Ghana cedis for 47 gigabytes. We also have Softline, which also provided internet service. We have Ozone. We also have ZipNet, and we also have servicial data, and then we have Airtel Tigo as well. But in terms of data cost, it sometimes depends on the region or where you are.
Okay. Okay, but
So
let me
basically-
ask you, Fuseni, on this. With all these networks that you have mentioned, meaning that okay, fine, the affordability differs from network to network. But what about the
Exactly.
coverage? Which of the network dominate that they have coverage in all the regions that when you go, because of the internet discussion that we are saying, okay, you can access this network everywhere. Can you give
I
us
think
some of the
currently-
ideas that, yeah.
Currently, when it comes to a broader coverage, MTN tops first, because even most of the even hinterlands when you go, you are likely MTN is likely to be the only network you can access there.
Okay.
So in terms
Okay.
of coverage and accessibility, MTN comes first than any other internet service providers.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Fuseni.
Thank you.
So as Fuseni was saying that although we have how do you call it? We have competition there, but we've seen as much as possible that there is higher rate of network coverage for some other specific network, which is in the contest. Now, let me go to Alassana and ask him, which country is he coming from? How is the competition like? The data cost, how is it like? Are they youth able to afford it? And when it comes to coverage within the country, which of the internet service provider are making effort that in their network coverage, both cellular network and data network, is being covered by all the regions within the country. So thank you very much. And Alassana, I give the floor to you.
Thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. I am Alassana, coming from the Gambia, West Africa. Okay, so with regards to the Gambia, we have about 5 telecommunications that provide internet, but then the private companies are the ones that are leading when it comes to competition. We have Africell, we also have QCell. Now we also have Comium. So these are the 3 telecommunication services that are leading when it comes to the internet. And then with regards to the wide coverage, there is no telecommunications, there is no ISP that provides internet throughout the Gambia. In some other parts of the Gambia, the other ISP is better, and other parts of the Gambia, the other ISP is better. And then when it comes to cost of internet in the Gambia, internet is very, very costly in the Gambia, because for 1 gigabyte, it's about $200. With when you convert to dollars, will give you something around maybe $20, which is very, very expensive. When you look at the statistics for internet that are countries with the highest internet cost, Gambia is part of the leading countries. And then most of the times, the private companies are saying the government has high tax. That is why the internet is expensive there. And some other times, the private companies are the ones leading. So the telecommunication that is responsible for regulating the private companies, it's now going down, and they are even thinking of privatizing it. So that is why we have high cost of internet.
All right. Okay. Let me catch you on this point. Which do the network coverage increases in terms of specific areas? Which network do you think that okay, fine, even if, although it is expensive, but people can have access to this network irrespective of whichever community that you are in? Can you highlight that one? And we move to now Neliswa. If I'm yeah,
we will not have that telecommunication where you will say they are only accessible in other parts of the other in the country, and they are not accessible in the other parts of the country. So the 2 main networks, you can have them accessible in the other part, but in the other part, you will not have them accessible. So most times people travel with 2 SIM cards, the other one from QCell, the other one from Africell. So if you move to the other part, you use Africell. If you move to the other part, you use QCell.
Wow, this is very interesting, and we will just do more to have a very much discussion about it. But to move forward, Naliswa, tell us about the access, the cost. Which country do you think that the youths are able to afford much of the internet that they are using in the country? Although some youth prefer that let us have like a high-speed internet, we'll pay based on our work. Some too cannot afford. But the coverage of network and internet services within your country. Give us the highlights of it and let us know what the government is also doing. And also you give us the country perspective, some of the location hotspot that you think that it's best for us to learn. Thank you. We cannot hear your sound well. Hello? I cannot hear you. I can see you are talking, but there is no sound coming.
We cannot hear you.
So choose the mic that you are using. If you are using your... Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. We can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah. We can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
He can hear you. He can hear you now. He can hear you now. He can hear you now.
We can hear you, Neliswa. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. He can hear you. He can hear you. He can hear you. It's working.
I think maybe she's not able to hear us.
Yes. He can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Okay, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. Yeah? We can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry for the delay. I was explaining that I'm from Eswatini. I work for the local telecommunications regulator. So we have about 20 internet service providers in the country. Two of them are our major mobile network operators. Well, I'll touch on the aspects of affordability and the network coverage. So, in terms of affordability, we are still battling that as the telecommunications regulator to make sure that we manage the network tariffs and also try to advocate for the lowering of costs so that everyone, including the youth, is able to afford connectivity. So I'll make an example with one of our licensed mobile network operators. They offer 1 gig at 30 emalangeni, which is equivalent to about $7.8. So the network coverage on one of the mobile operators is not yet um, accessible from all regions of the country, but most of them are running at a speed of 15 to 20 megabytes per second. That's the average speed of the network in our local country. And then what the government has done to improve internet accessibility, we've focused more on infrastructure upgrade, talking about the network sites that these internet service providers are doing, installing across the country. So in summary, some of the internet service providers that cannot or afford, we've also advocated for site sharing, where you find that in one site you have more than one internet service provider configuring their network, just to make sure that all the regions access connectivity.
Thank you very much for highlighting that, and we understand the perspective that you are coming from in terms of that. Then let me move to Blessed Raphael, who is going to give us the overview of his country and what mechanisms are there in place that maybe is there any affordable internet that some of the youth wish to have, and what is the context in terms of coverage within your country. Then after that, we'll just discuss the breakout rooms case study, then we'll move into breakout rooms. Thank you very much, Raphael.
Thank you, Fifi. My name is Blessed Raphael and I'm from Tanzania. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
We have about 5 competitive internet service providers, and the leading ones are Vodacom, Tanzania, Tigo Tanzania, and Airtel Tanzania. And these 3 provide internet. 1 GB of data can be bought at about $2. And they have monthly subscriptions, which are unlimited data bundles, and they start from $25 up to $150, depending on your service provider. And the coverage, we have 4G coverage all over the country for these 3 top tier service providers, and we have 5G coverage by Airtel, Tigo, and Vodacom also in 2 regions, which are Dar es Salaam and Dodoma. Only 2 cities have 5G coverage. The government is also trying to subsidize and improve infrastructure through the Tanzania Telecommunication Company Limited, TTCL, which is the main ISP in the country, and they are doing a good job. We are having, because I'm a university student, in universities we have installed, the government has installed free Wi-Fi for students. So youth are being taken into consideration in the internet course. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Without wasting much time, like I'm going to share our case study for us to see what we need to do in terms of today's
Fifi.
sections. Hello. Yeah.
Yes,
Saba.
we do have a few comments on the chat.
Okay.
Regarding Starlink.
Okay.
We know that Starlink they don't use any kind of fibers or IXP, something like that, because they are directly connected to the satellite. But then those Starlinks, it depends on the affordability and also the overall effectiveness on for example the geographical coverage as well. And these kind of Starlink connections are used in most of remote areas. But then the cost of the hardware, for example, the satellite dish, the router, can be the drawback in terms of the cost for most of Africans. They do also have like these monthly subscriptions, right? So that may be a high cost. So yeah, but then in general, those Starlinks have really high potential to improve the internet access in Africa. But then in terms of affordability, it depends on the local economic conditions. Yeah.
Yes. So Asaba is also, and it's true because if let's say some people, for the average users, they may not be able to afford the Starlink because it comes with even the setup is a cost in terms of the average person in Africa, and also coming up to the below the people who cannot afford monthly subscription, payment of subscription every month, which is very high, and also in terms of USD. So even when our exchange rate is going up, meaning that we still have to find a way to get to that point. But it is a way that it is going to improve internet coverage and speed and internet usage in Africa. But why can't the government also try as much as possible to bring such services to the part of every country, so that there will be a subsidized cost for everyone to afford? This thing can be done because if one entity like Starlink is able to do that, why can't we, the African country, also do? And we'll come back to all questions, Abia and others, but let's go to the case study, have more discussion, then we'll come and have more questions and answers based on that. And I think I've seen in the chat that people are really engaging in terms of what is happening in their country. And this is the reason why we're having this section, that we will have more discussion on that. And after this, you get to know how you can build cases in terms of forums and conversation around the internet governance. And when we're doing this, then most of our decision makers, policy implementation agencies are also on these platforms within the Internet Governance Forum, the both the Africa, the local and national, they listen the concerns and they tried as much as possible to implement our concerns and bring some solutions to it. So today's case study, we're going to look at the infrastructure aspect of internet in Africa, internet governance in Africa. And the subtopic is that we are looking at the growth of internet exchange points in Africa. So the overview is giving us the significant development of internet infrastructure in the aspect of internet governance in Africa, which has been an establishment of growth of ISPs. And it's a very critical when we come into the aspect of allowing the local internet service providers networks to the need to reduce data, as people were saying in their various. That's why we brought that section in there for us to understand perspective. And we've understood much about different countries' perspective, and we can now come. Now, let's see this one. So we have key initiative on the African Union Internet Exchange System, whereby it was launched on 2012, which has played a very major role in terms of expansion within Africa. Let's see the impact. Kenya and Nigeria also have an impact. Now the challenges. This is the challenges. We've seen that despite all the growth of the internet exchange points in terms of scalability and the connectivity, we've still had that there's challenging. So let's dive into the discussion that we're going to do that. How do we balance satellite adoption? This is where the satellites and the Starlinks and other. How do we balance the satellite adoption with community network approach in managing cost setup for increased connectivity as a way of bridging digital divide? What policy and regulation can be in place? So now we have 5 stakeholder groups, and we're going to have discussion panel on this. People will come on this. So if you are presenting, make sure that you bring your list, and then we will time up 5 minutes for each group. So 5 minutes for each group, meaning that 2.5 minutes, if you are 2, you can share. Let's balance the gender equality. Now let's discuss as a government stakeholder group, technical community, civil society, business, and academia. How do we balance the adoption of community networks approach in managing cost setup? What research can academia do? The civil society, we are the internet users. We advocate for good internet and that. What can we also do? Push government to do. And the government is above all making sure that they do the regulation. So I love it when Suwa was saying that from the perspective of the regulatory side, this is what they are doing. The technical community, we would develop the infrastructure, connect from one region, district, or region, from country, sub-regions to different countries. What are we also doing in terms of that? Then we come to the business sector. Business sector, private sector could be the internet service provider. What can we also do in terms that if you want to bridge digital divide, what policies and regulations should be in place? So I'm going to open the breakout rooms. If you don't join, I will assign you to a room by 1 minute. So you can join the breakout rooms, then we will also join in there. Thank you, and have a very wonderful discussion. And I hope to bring you on board for us to have a very good discussion. Yeah. Thank you. So I've opened the internet, the breakout rooms. You can join. We have 5. So you can see on your screen now and join. Then the facilitators can choose which one they want to join based on. All right, so I think we are all coming back now. We are all coming back now. Thank you very much. From academia to technical community, civil society, if you are presenting, just raise up your hand. Because today you've discussed a lot. So I know you know everything. Those of you who are going to discuss, like I think you raise up your hand, I'll bring you on a spotlight. Then I'll ask you the questions that we think that the other stakeholder group can ask you. Then I'll be going 1 minute, then we'll come back again. So we are 5. So Abdul, which stakeholder group? Sakina, which stakeholder group? So let me move to Abdul.
Civil society.
Okay,
Civil
so
society.
fine. Okay, fine. So Abdul, the government and the business sector, the technical community thinks that the satellite implementation connectivity is very expensive. So they cannot do anything about it. They just want to feel that based on that, we're supposed to have a very fair and marginalized cost for that. They can't do anything about it because satellite is very costly. They don't want to implement. So what is your take as a civil society group? What did you discuss that you want to tell us? If you are two, to let me know, then we can split the time. So we want to have that contest that what is the civil society doing? Then after that, we go back again. And so you have just 1.5 minutes to present. Then we go to the next person. Then we come back to the last question. Then we run it through like that. Thank you.
Okay. We are 2 presenting. So I'll just make my own brief. So as civil society organizations, we are advocating for an inclusive and affordable connectivity. And then since other stakeholders alone cannot take charge to it, especially regarding the cost, these are the issues we are looking we should consider. One is shared infrastructure. Here, we are looking at collaborating with local organizations to share the infrastructure cost. But sometimes the cost of the infrastructure sometimes asks the reason why there is high cost of the data or data connectivity. We are also looking at crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing, where we are thinking of engaging local communities in network planning, and then deployment and then maintenance. Here, once we are able to do that, at the end, the cost is going to be split within various groups, and then one particular stakeholder will not feel the impact of the cost. We are also looking at low-cost technologies. That is, if we are able to utilize affordable satellite solution, example, CubeSats, and then community network equipment. By doing these things, we can all be able to absorb the cost involved when it comes to satellite setting up. So basically, this is my take on it for now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me move to Maxwell. Which stakeholder group are you representing?
I'm representing the academia.
Okay, so fine, Maxwell.
We are actually 2 presenting.
Yeah. So I'll come back to you on the next topic. Then you give us the digital divide aspect. So let me move to Maxwell, then I'll come back to you. So the first presenters are going to talk about the satellite aspect. Then the next people can talk about the other aspects so that we can have a fair idea of how we can move it. So Maxwell, I'm going to bring you on a spotlight on academia. Fine. We know that the academic community is also playing a part. But this is what the government is saying, that fine, the academic institution connived with the other stakeholder group. What do you think that you can bring it up about to show evidence that fine, we have not gotten enough research on the aspect of satellite connectivity? And as a stakeholder group, you also use internet for your students, for your research, for your work, for academic purposes. You train the people living on how to use these technologies. What do you have a take when it comes to the satellite connectivity? What can enhance connectivity? What can be done? What are the implementation measures that you think that the academic community can also bring it out for government to be able to adapt, and for all the other multi-stakeholder can be able to adapt to implement such kind of networks and for communities and within the country. So thank you very much, and you have some few minutes to talk on it, then we can move to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe that the academia is, I'm not sure if you can hear me very well, or is the background clear?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
okay.
Thank you. So I believe that academia is the first point of contact for reimagining or setting a positive trajectory in any particular field. It's because it's basically a research to sectorial and institutional. And first, one major issue which my research have delved into regulation on satellite adoption and internet. One major issue which we saw that is causing the issue in reconciling both approach is regulation, and we think that regulation can serve as a policy instrument which we use to set the trajectory. The problem is that there is difficulty in barrier entry, there is difficulty in entry into this satellite adoption. There is difficulty in entry into it. And this difficulty emanates from the regulatory requirements, which put a whole lot of strain on even obtaining the license for satellite adoption, particularly in Nigeria. I'm aware that the Nigeria Communication Commission released a guideline for obtaining a license to operate a satellite in the country. But the issue and it offers two categories. One of the categories is individual and class license. But the issue with that regulation is that the requirements to even obtain the license and operate the satellite is quite stringent, and it puts a strain on even people that do not have the financial burden to be able to obtain this license. So we argued from the academia that to be able to solve this thing, there should be regulatory initiative that is influenced by a policy decision which would reduce the entry barrier in terms of the cost to obtain this licensing. That is the major issue. Then, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much for that. And let me move to Aaron. Aaron, which stakeholder community?
The technical community.
Okay, fine. Aaron, the technical community, this is what the other people are saying that, fine, you know that you are technical community, and you are talking about satellite connectivity, satellite this. It's very expensive, and the cost involved is very, they cannot afford it within communities. Now, fine, technical communities, can't you manufacture some of these dishes and satellite resources here in Africa, in the respective countries, so that importing will become very affordable, getting access to this will become very easy and affordable? What do you think that you need? What do you think that you can contribute? And what do you think that it can be done right in terms of making that satellite connectivity is very affordable and very efficient within our various regions that we are in now? Thank you very much, Aaron.
Okay, I think some of the things we discussed on the group that the technical community can do in order to develop affordable, right, and scalable technologies is developing innovative solutions like that. When you talk about mesh networks, right, and TV white space technology, and there are also low-cost wireless solutions that are ideal for community networks, right? We also, another recommendation we had was improving on the efficiency of satellite technology. So when we reduce latency and when we optimize the bandwidth, usage, it can help to make satellite backhaul connection more affordable and also suitable for pairing with community networks. We're also working on open source tools, right? So the technical community are working on developing open source platform for managing and deploying community networks. And when you do that, it reduces cost, right? And it also enable communities with limited technical expertise to be able to manage their own local network more easily. Then a very important one is on research. So the technical community is going to be focusing on research and development that explores sustainable green technologies for building network infrastructure. So when you talk about renewable energy sources like solar and wind to power community network, it will also reduce even the impact of the environmental impact that data centers have. And then, power supply also consumes a lot of energy, right? So when we look at renewable energy sources, solar, wind, it will also help us to reduce the cost of powering those centers and also, accessing the internet. Yes, that's
Okay,
what
all right. Thank you very much. We'll come back. But we wanted to spotlight you so that we can have it on our videos and other stuff based on the discussion. Fine. I'm going to Alassana. Alassana, this is what the civil society people and the technical community government is saying that fine. You are from which group? Business and private sector, fine. So you are from the business and private sector, right?
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
please.
okay. So since you are from business and private sector, they know that business and private sector people, you are making money. You get profits, but why don't you reduce the cost of satellite provision for communities, connectivity, so that it can be affordable to the average user within the community? But everything is expensive, subscription is expensive. What do you think that it has been done right or wrong? And what do you think that, what are your concerns? So that the other stakeholder can also understand you, or if there is any collaboration that you need to do with them in terms of provision satellite connectivity that becomes affordable and accessible by everyone. What is your take on this? And if you can, on your video too, I'll be very much grateful about it. But if you can't, then we can move on. So you have a few minutes to present, then we'll go back to Ephraim. Then we can come back later to the digital divide aspects. Thank you.
Okay. With regards to the private sector, we came up with the solution that as private sector and businesses, we believe that we need the government to collaborate with us to be able to make sure that the internet is subsidized and reduced to certain level. Because as private sectors, even though we make profits, but we also need to invest, and then we have a lot of operational costs that are involved that most of the other stakeholders do not see. So in order for the private sector or businesses to be able to reduce the internet to an affordable cost, we believe that we need to have collaborations with the government and other stakeholders. We also come up with a resolution that the government needs to come up with policies and regulations that are flexible to the private sector. Because looking at it, the private sector are involved in profit making, and if the policies and rules are not flexible to them, it's not going to favor the private sector. And one of the policies that we think the government should look at it's making sure that there is this policy of reducing tax or reducing the percentage of tax on businesses that want to expand in a country. For example, in the Gambia, if Africa wants to expand to the rural part of the Gambia, they can come up with the policy of reducing at least 2% of the tax that they levied on them for a particular amount of years. That money that they waive will be able to be, the private sector will be able to utilize that amount of money and expand their business to grow in the urban areas of the Gambia. So we also believe that the private sector can also invest in hybrid network models. That is making sure that the network models are in a hybrid mode. you have the satellite telecommunications and also the network telecommunications to be able to cater for areas that are far from the telecommunication providers or urban areas. And the last thing that we also discuss about is the subsidies. In order for the government, the private sector to be able to reduce the internet price, the government needs to invest in infrastructures that are going to make the operational cost to be reduced for the private sector. Most of the times, these institutions rely on electricity, water, and other stuff which are sourced by the government. So if the government provide those infrastructures in those areas, for example, you don't expect the private sector to invest in an urban area where there is no electricity, because the internet, of course, relies on electricity and other operational things that needs electricity. So the private sector cannot invest in those areas if the government do not provide the necessary infrastructure.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for highlighting what the private sector is doing. Let me go to Ephraim. Ephraim, fine, government, everything relies on you. The academia was saying that policy regulation is very hard. Why is it that you don't want to give policies that will enhance satellite connectivity? Even getting licenses is very difficult, and people are, all the other stakeholders are concerned. The private sector also feels that you are charging them more taxes. The taxes that they are paying, that they can be reduced to expand all these things. We don't know your plans. We don't know what you are doing. We don't know what you think that you can do better, because you know that, okay, fine, the civil society is very stubborn. They don't want to pay for the service. Is that true? Maybe that is what they are saying. But you may have a fair idea to present to us what the government thinks that it is the best when it comes to the satellite connectivity, and what approaches are you using to improve that. Thank you. Then we can come back again for the digital divide. That's for 1 minute, 1 minute. Thank you. Ephraim.
Sure. Thank you very much, Fee. So that's a right of question, because if it comes to looking at, can you hear me? Am I loud and
we
clear?
can hear you.
Sure. So if it comes to issues of policies and regulations and tax incentives and all that, it's more of having the discussions, talking about it each and every time, because there are so many things if it comes to regulations and policies. People think that the government sits and just make policies, and we have this notion that the government is not serving the interests of the people. But government's main motive is to serve the interests of the people. So if it comes to policies, government is looking at the interests of the people. So if government comes up with policies and implementations, it's to the interests of the people. So the whole thing is just having a balance and having conversations, so that we're able to understand each and every one of them. We understand the concerns, how we can help each other, because most of these policies are to guide you or to help or to protect the citizens. So if an ISP is coming to the country to come and just set up his infrastructure, is now coming to get a lot of money from people and all that, and we are not regulating all these things, then we are going to, because sometimes we need to tax these people to also get some returns. And if they are getting more than what we are getting, we are not saying that we just want to try and exploit them, but we want to have policies and regulations that could also benefit us as well, because we live in this country, and most of the things that we bring on board, people are benefiting than the government, or even than the people of the country. So we should have the conversation. And if I should go into the satellite adoption bit, I think the first thing I'll talk about is capacity building and partnership. If you're able to have that capacity building spirit in everything we do, we're able to actually achieve most of the strategies we are putting in place, and partnership and collaborations. One thing I feel that we are lacking in Africa is partnership and collaboration. We think we always see, we always want to be bosses on our own, but people are making billions of money or billions of dollars through partnerships and collaborations. And because of that, they're able to reduce a lot of costs, because they're not thinking of the price they are even charging you, because they know that they've collaborated with other people. So they are surely getting the same thing they will get if they're even on their own. So we should look at collaborations and partnership with these private entities, so that you're able to also understand their concerns, because these are the people that get the feedback from the users. So if you're able to also understand them in that regard, we can also foster a lot of collaborations and partnerships. The next thing is introduction of flexible policies and procedures. As I said already, you should have, I got to know about this multi-sectarianism through my journey in terms of being a Ghana SIG fellow and all that. We talk about having stakeholder meetings and all that, but where is the multi-stakeholder bit? It's like we are just leaving some people out of the system. We are not including certain people, the most important people, especially the end users. We're not including them into our conversations and all that. And most of these people have a lot to say. And if you're able to understand them, you're able to even speed up a lot of our policies, modify some of our policies, change some of our policies, so that these people are able to benefit at the long run. But if you don't include all these people, then it's like we are not being good to ourselves. So we should embrace this multi-stakeholderism that the ICANN has even developed, and we should even it should be part and parcel of us. Every meeting we have, we should have that at the back of mind, that we should include the people, and we should include a lot of people on board, so that we're able to understand their concerns and all that, and able to address their concerns. If it comes to public and private partnership, I think as per our partnership, we could also collaborate in terms of so if it comes to satellite adoption, let's say the private sectors could also help to also install most of this infrastructure for us. So we have this partnership where they are just installing it. And even if they want to even install for people, there's a regulation with regards to that as well. The other thing I'll talk about is funding and investment. So if it comes to funding and investment, let's say we don't have the money to pay for these services. We can go out there to solicit for funds, because we need to. The internet needs to reach a lot of people. And what are we doing? There's a lot of money out there, but we are just sitting aloof and we are saying that, okay, there's no money out there. But if you're able to come up with the right policies and the right frameworks and the right implementations, I believe that we can get all this funding we need to actually benefit. Benefit
fine.
the people
So,
of them.
Thank you. We'll come back to that, but the last part is 1 minute, 1 minute. So we're going to talk about a digital divide. Fine. You think that the end users, the community members, fine. Some of them are included even within the civil society, and most of them channel to all their effort through the civil society, especially when it comes to Ghana and other regions. Now, fine. We want to break digital divide. The academia feels that there should be a capacity building in that. Now, I'm going to start from the private sector. Why do you think that you are making money, but you don't want to expand networks so that people can do the services that they want to come to the city and do in the rural areas? What is your concern to that? What one measure? This is just 1 minute. So it's just 1 minute for everyone. So the person who is presenting for the private sector should be ready. And I'll give the person floor to tell us that what measures do they think that they can do to close the digital divide? And this runs through from all the stakeholders that we have. We're supposed to give out our outline. What one vision do we think that we are doing? We can collaborate with this stakeholder, or we can do this alone to break that digital divide, because there are so many people who don't even have access or who are not connected to the internet. What can we do? So I'm starting with the private sector. Who is that? Is that Alasana? Yeah.
Yes. So as a private sector, I think the most important thing to us is making profit. But then with regards to the making of profit, we need to have the available infrastructures that are in place for us to be able to make sure that we have that profit that we want to make. So the major thing that we want to focus on is to make sure that we have the available infrastructures in place for us to be able to invest in areas that do not have internet connectivity, to be able to have them connected. So I would say we will want to invest in infrastructures.
Okay, all right, thank you. Whilst investing in infrastructure, let me come to the technical community. What can you also do in terms of the technical community? After that, I'll come back to the academia, which Maxwell is presenting. So technical community, who is speaking?
Yeah, I'm the one speaking.
Okay, yeah.
So for technical
Sekina.
community, I think one thing. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. My name is Sekina Ibrahim, and I am from the technical community. So
Okay.
for one thing I think we can do as a technical community is that we can develop affordable and accessible technology so that people in the community, in the local community, will be able to access, just like what my colleague from the private sector said. We are in the technical community are saddled with the responsibility of creating affordable technologies and making it innovative, an innovative solution that reduce the cost of internet access and make technology more accessible to undeserved and marginalized community around us. And the most important one again is we can promote digital literacy. I used to say this, that you can't protect yourself from what you don't know. So we as technical community, we can organize training and programs, workshops to teach people essential digital literacy skill for them to own ownership of the infrastructure being put in place in their community. This include basic computer literacy, internet navigation, and online safety. And the next thing we can always do is we should collaborate with policymakers and other stakeholders in our community. We as technical community should work with the government and the policy makers to advocate for favorable policy that supports digital inclusion.
Okay.
These include, sorry, can you hear me? It seems my
Yes.
network is.
We can hear you. We can hear you, but your time is almost up. So let me move to Maxwell.
All right.
Then
I'm done
yeah.
already. So the last thing is
Okay.
we can also foster innovation and entrepreneurship. So we can foster entrepreneurship in the digital space, particularly in area that address the need of underserved and marginalized community. By doing this, it can help develop new technology and business model that will help bridge the digital divide. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let me go to Maxwell. Maxwell, academia. We are bridging digital divide, and we know that you train the people in schools and other stuff. What can we do on that?
Okay, thank you so much. So one of the things that we will advocate for is that there should be funding for research on increased connectivity. So what this thing would do is that it will influence the revamping of curriculum in the universities or tertiary education towards this particular side. If there's no research on funding in this particular issue, if the academia or the government does not see it as a problem, there won't be even any need to revamp our curriculum to accommodate this thing as a problem. I would always say that the academia is societal oriented. It's not just training for you to get knowledge, it's also training you to be able to solve problems. So the funded research in this aspect will go a long way in increasing connectivity. Then we will also advocate for universal service obligations. So this universal service obligation, the essence is to mandate telecom service operators to provide a minimum level of service to underserved areas supported by Universal Service Fund. So the government should create a Universal Service Fund and mandate these telecom service providers to provide a minimum level of services to the underserved areas. And some of the fines that the government issues to these service providers, the fine that government issued to them will be used or put in that trust fund that will be used to serve underrepresented areas. Because I know in my thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Sorry for the time, sir. We don't want to keep people waiting. Let me go to the government. Then we'll have discussion in the e-learning. The government side, and then we'll move to civil society. The government, Maxwell is saying that provide a policy regulations that there must be a trust fund. Do you think that that is what you can do to create digital divide? What initiatives are you trying to create? Let me know who is representing the government side. Then after that, civil society to raise up. Okay, Ephraim, yeah, you have 1 minute. When the minute is up, I will just let you know.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So the first thing is about collaboration and collaboration. So basically, the government is more like having some kind of authority. So if we are able to collaborate with all these particular stakeholders, we're able to solve their issues. And we have that multi-stakeholderism in everything we do. We're able to solve their issue. The next thing is funding and investment. We're able to also invest in our infrastructure. And we are seeking funding because the government has some kind of leverage in terms of funding. So we can bring money into the country to help to get most of these initiatives being implemented.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All
basically,
right.
I'll talk
Thank
about
you
that.
very much. All right. Thank you very much. Civil society, government said they need funding. Academic said they need funding. Do you also need funding to break digital divide, or you have your own way to create the digital divide from your perspective? Because most of the internet end users are with you. You are in the community. What do you also think that you can do in terms of that? Who is presenting for civil society?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
you are
presenting
here.
for civil.
Okay, yeah.
So, as we all know, digital divide in Africa is a significant barrier to development. So, as civil society, our role is to advocate, basically, and to advocate for policies to be implemented. Like one main policy that we will advocate for is the universal service obligation, where affordable internet access becomes a right and not a luxury. So we advocate for inclusive access. Everyone in the country should have equitable access to the internet. Like for my country, I'm from West Africa, Liberia. I will try to be practical here for the 1 minute. For my country, Liberia, where I'm from, the urban community has good internet connectivity, but if you move to the rural side, you don't have any internet connectivity. We actually have two internet providers, which are MTN, Lone Star Cell MTN, and Orange Liberia. So Orange is actually good. They are a bit strong, but their towers are not in the rural side. So this is a barrier. I'm actually in the urban community. So if I having to move to the rural community, I'm actually an emerging web developer. I'm always using the internet to do work. So what if I move to the urban side, I mean the rural side, from the urban side to the rural side to have a vacation with family, or to spend some time in the rural community, go to my village and have some fun. So that means I will not have access to the internet. And that is a barrier. That is a digital divide. That shouldn't be. Every area in a country should have access to equitable internet, should have equitable access to internet. So one major thing we can do to some things, one major thing we can do is to advocate for inclusive access.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And we really appreciate that. I'll hand over to Saba to close us. And we have a lot of questions, but we'll do the discussion in the e-learning. This is very, very interesting discussion. And thank you for joining today's section. We don't want to keep you because we've spent some few minutes on our time, but we'll have more. There is no announcement. The questions and answers quizzes will be open for you. We'll still continue 2 days more to close, but Friday we'll have a very good discussion, very open panel. Then we'll have a very good discussion and debate towards some specific content. So thank you for joining today. Let me hand over to Saba. If she has any final words to say, then we will just close on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fifi. Nothing to say a lot, but it's very interesting to hear all of you speaking according to your experience on the internet service providers, as well as regarding the IXCPs. And it was very informative, as I was able to understand what's going on in Ghana, and what's going on in Nigeria, Gambia, Uganda, and so on. So thank you so much for your participation, and we really hope you found this session informative. And of course, all the slides are uploaded to the e-learning platform. So for further studies, you can refer to that as well as the module. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Abia, you have a question.
Fifi, I have a question. You see, So when I go to the e-platform, so getting the quizzes, that is, but now when I want to get the PowerPoint, can you please just share with your screen just to show us where we get the PowerPoint? Because I've been trying and I also noticed that like for today, the 17 will open for today, because when I wanted to log in yesterday, it didn't want to open. I was only able to get to do the quiz for the module 1 and 2, but the one written 17, it didn't want, but I think today it will open. So
Yeah, so the quiz will open as soon as we close the section. So when you click here, when you see where the mouse is here, so when I click 3, infrastructure aspects, when I click the one with bold, I will see the module details there. Then when I come down, it opens for me. The one with a tick like English case study module 3, that is where I see the case study. Then now this quiz is open. So meaning that I can see my quiz and start my quiz. So this under each module, we have one, the bold one, then you come to the one with the case study, then you come the one with the quiz. So it's very simple that today too, there will be a question in there and we can
and the
have a
discussion, where
discussion.
where do we add on the, do we put it just, you were talking about discussion. Where
Okay,
do
so the discussion, let me show you then after that, like I'll go to Maxwell. The discussion is that like I put a question in the group. So the question that I put in the group was such that this is the discussions that we put yesterday. So under this, you see that you guys have given a comment. So you can click on the comments and you put in the comments there. You can reply to someone if you think that you can build a point on what the person is discussing. So we have like a lot of discussion to put it in there. You see, this person have written a lot of that's very interesting. That so we try to build some ideas. So this one, you can come and even make it as your favorite, and you can put a comment under it, and it's simple. Anything that someone can do, maybe we can just put comments in here. Then that's good to go.
so where it's written WhatsApp, that's where I go down.
Yeah.
Okay, because okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Maxwell, do you have anything to share?
Yes, please. Thank you. I wanted to say that navigate to the course module is usually an issue for me. I just had to share when I saw somebody sharing. Whenever I click on it, it will tell me no page found. And I keep having that recurrent issue. So I
Which one? Is it the courses?
Yes, the courses. Yes, the courses.
The courses, yeah.
Yes.
This one.
Yes, I'm unable to get to this point, even up to this moment.
You are unable to access it. Okay.
Yes.
So like I'll check your full name and see maybe after the section, then because you're supposed to have access to that. So like I will try as much as possible to see what we can do maybe after the session.